There's a very specific kind of courage that it takes for you to say out loud, you know what? I don't believe the same things anymore. For someone leaving the system of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that sentence isn't just about your belief. It's actually about your identity. It's about belonging. It's about risking the very relationships that once defined safety for you. Why it feels so hard to tell your family is because in this system and other religious systems, belief is not just personal, it's also very relational. It's relational currency. And from the beginning of your experience in the church, you're taught that families are eternal, but only if everyone stays aligned and in the covenant path. Unity equals righteousness. Deviation is not just difference, it's danger, loss of the spirit, vulnerable to Satan, destroy your family unit. The main responsibility of parents is to keep their kids tightly bundled in the covenants. And so when someone begins to question, what they're actually facing is not just, how do I say this? It's, what's this going to cost me? What's going to be the emotional and relational fallout? Will I be trusted? Will I be seen as a good person? Will I still belong? Will I be rejected? Will I be abandoned? Will I still be included in the love bonds of my family? The most vulnerable relationships I have are at stake right now. And underneath all of that, the big question we're asking is, will I still be loved the same way? And here's the invisible bind. Many who are leaving churches and religions, they aren't just sorting through the doctrine, like that isn't heavy enough business, but they're also untangling a nervous system that was wired for approval, a lifetime of being rewarded for conformity, the subtle and sometimes overt message that love is tied to obedience and faith. So when they consider telling their family, their body often reads it as a threat, not metaphorically, biologically. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral, panic sets in, because at some level, your religious body system was taught that disconnection equals danger. Lack of testimony equals danger. This is what it does to your autonomy. When your sense of safety it requires you to be aligned, your ability to choose freely becomes compromised. You aren't really acting on free agency. You start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I'll just keep this private. Maybe I won't need to say anything. Maybe I can just stay halfway in so it looks like I believe, and that way I don't hurt anyone. And this is where autonomy quietly erodes. Not because you can't choose differently. It's because the cost of choosing yourself feels too high. And so instead of evolving, you pause and you shrink and you start to edit and you censor and you split yourself into two parts. That version your family can love and the version that's actually in the process of becoming your own sovereign self. And here's the impact this makes on your own evolutionary process. Growth requires you to be honest. Expansion requires differentiation. But when you're telling the truth risks connection, many people unconsciously delay their own evolution in order to preserve their very relationships. And they stay in between, not fully in, not fully out. And that creates a kind of internal dissonance. It's a form of self-abandonment. And it can feel like anxiety, exhaustion, loss of self-trust, because your system knows that you are living in a divided mind. And I believe the message that a man can't serve two masters was an invitation to live in true integrity with yourself, or it's going to create internal chaos. What's actually being asked of us at this time is, when we share our dissent with our family, is why it's so terrifying to declare your autonomy. Is that leaving isn't just about belief reconstruction. It's about reclaiming your personal right to think independently, your personal right to feel without filtering, your personal right to evolve even if others don't understand you. And telling your family, that becomes a threshold moment, not because it guarantees rupture or chaos or maybe even distance. It's terrifying because it requires someone to stand in their own authority before they even know how it's going to be received. You don't know how they're going to respond. And here's a reframe for you. What if the difficulty isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong, but it is evidence of how deeply conditioned you were to prioritize your belonging over becoming your sovereign self? And what if the fear you're experiencing isn't weakness at all? It's just an echo of a system that made your autonomy feel unsafe. And there's nothing small and easy about choosing truth when your entire world has been built around agreement and compliance. And there's nothing selfish about evolving beyond what once defined you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and actually for others too, is to stop performing alignment and start living in integrity, even if your voice shakes when you say it. And if you need some help and assistance navigating this piece for you, reach out. I would love to connect with you.